All right, load her up, folks. Texas Jim joins us. Hey, Jim, what's going on?
Not much. I'm just trying to keep on the range.
Jim, of course, the host of Wild West Theater. You can see it Monday through Friday, 12:30, right here on Source 16. And every now and then we just have him come in. We talk about the old cowboys and what's going on. And Jim never ceases to amaze. All of us know a little bit about something. But you know a lot about a specific thing, and that's old westerns and western stars and movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm. A year ago today, the 23rd of June, 1 year ago today, I had my ex-boss band in here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a year ago today,
Tommy Scott.
had him in there that day.
In fact, if you go to YouTube, you can still watch the Tommy Scott interview. Tommy was the last of the Medicine Men.
Mm-hmm.
And you worked with him for what, about 16, 17 years?
About 20 years.
20 years. Mm-hmm. Great interview, so check it out. In fact, I actually saw somebody the other day that had watched it. It was one of Tommy's relatives.
Wow, yeah.
And posted something on there.
Oh, yeah.
About that. So
he'll be 94 this week, He'll be 94 years old.
Still going strong.
Still going strong.
All right. I was telling Brittany we were going to do this interview today, and she said, well, I want to come up with a question. And I thought, and she actually came up with a very good question because, she doesn't know the old-time stars. Uh-huh. But she said, were there any of the stars like that you associate with back from the 30s, 40s, whatever, that actually kind of came up as cowboys or, with that kind of background? Or were they all city slickers that just kind of moved into it?
Well, now that makes a good point there because the guy that got me a job with Tommy was Colonel Tim McCoy.
Okay.
Now, he's in the 30s. Between 1930 and about middle 40s, it was Tim McCoy, Ken Maynard, Buck Jones, Hoop Gibson, and Tom Mix.
Now, if you're my age, folks, you probably have heard most of these names. If
they was the
younger,
Big Five.
You may not.
They was called the Big Five.
Okay.
Well, Tim McCoy is the one that got me a job with Tommy.
Now, were they mostly doing like serials or what were they doing?
Some of them did. Tim did a serial, and Buck Jones did a serial. Tom Mix, the last big thing he done was a serial. It's called The Miracle Rider. If y'all see a copy of that graphic, it's about 15 chapters.
Okay.
It's called The Miracle Rider. That was the last big thing he done.
Of course, back then, folks, for those of you who don't know, if you went to the movie, a lot of times they'd have a short, and it would be an ongoing thing because people went to the movie, I guess, back then probably weekly.
Yeah.
You didn't have TV and and all that.
Well, you saw the movie that you paid to see, but that would be the last thing on the bill. Mm-hmm. And the first thing it'd be like a newsreel and be previews, coming attractions, and then it'd be a serial and a comedy short. Now, that's where the Three Stooges was in, or Little Rascals was in.
Okay.
A comedy short, they show that. And then the last thing would be this week's chapter.
All right, back to our question: were any of those guys real cowboys?
Just about. They was real cowboys, what we call real cowboys and all that. We all can claim to be real cowboys because I ride and shoot like the rest of them. But Tim McCoy started out as he was from Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay, that's a hotbed of cowboys, folks.
and he left home at an early age, and he went to Wyoming, Montana. In fact, he's in the capital of Wyoming. Got a big display of him in the Capitol building. And he lied about his age and got into the United States Cavalry. That's how come he called. He worked his way up to a colonel. Mm-hmm. That's how he come to be called Colonel Tim McCoy. And
But he got you your first job?
He got me the job with Tommy.
Okay.
I called him. He was in Arizona, and I found out.
You just called him as a fan.
I called him because I was looking for a job.
Right.
And I thought he had a range.
But you didn't know it.
I never had met him.
Okay.
Never had met him. But that was 3 years after I made a move to Sunset. No.
Okay.
And then,
Sunset Carson.
And then Sunset was on there as a headliner. Tommy would hire somebody from Hollywood or Nashville to be the headliner show. Then the rest of the performers like me made up the rest of the show.
Right.
He had to have a crowd draw,
And Jimmy will be back sometime, and he's been here and sung. And you did some. Did you do some roping or shooting? And
I had sharpshooting, and both went back.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did a show. A friend of mine, I don't tell my age now, but she's a school teacher. She was a school teacher in Crofton, and she had me come up and do a show for the two grade school kids that I was up there. And she's not scared to try anything, so she held the paper out there so I could cut it in half, and then she turned around and cut it in half. And when she got done, it's about that big a piece.
Wow. Okay, I like Texas Jim. I don't like him that much. We're not going to try that. Texas Jim's our guest. He's the host of Wild West Theater every day, Monday through Friday, right here, 12:30. We'll be back and talk some more about the old cowboys after this. Texas Jim's with us, and we're talking about old-time cowboys and stuff. Now, you've told me now 2 or 3 times, the last 2 or 3 times I've seen you about your comic collection. You know, and I think most of us think, you know, comics, I'm thinking 60s and, you know, maybe early 70s. But you're doing comics, Western comics from the 40s.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got a bunch of them?
I got Buck Jones. I got Ken Maynard. And like I said a while ago, they're from the 30s, you know. And then I got one comic book of Lash Rue that he actually signed, autographed. And I got one of Boy's movies, one of Boy's comic books. I got 76 of them, trying to get all of them. If I ever get
How many are there?
It's about 149 of them.
What did they sell for when they came out?
10 cents.
Okay.
And you could, and some of them as good that people didn't cut them up like that because they had a coupon on the back that you cut that out and spit it out and send it in, and you with 10 cents, and you get a monthly comic book every month for a whole year.
Oh wow!
And it'd be like $1 and something for a whole year subscription.
Mailed to you.
10 cent mailed to you, you know, and tax and all, you know, and of course I guess we don't sell tax anymore, but you get that sent to you, and now they're I hate to admit, but anywhere from $4 to $8, $9, $10.
Yeah. Now I know you and I've talked about several times over the last few years. You've gone to some of the old, like the conventions where some of the old Western stars are. Who have you met that's been interesting?
The Virginian, James Drury, the Virginian, Bill Hutchins that played Sugarfoot,
Okay.
Ty Harden that played Bronco, and of course Ty Harden did some other movies, you know, besides the TV show Bronco, and they put them together as a Cheyenne show because Clint Walker had stepped out on strike, you know.
Oh, okay.
And they got them two in there to cover up. Then he came back and they paid him extra money, and but you see one week, one next week, you know, every Monday night, you know. And I met them two guys, Bronco and Sugarfoot, and James Drury, Virginian. The boy that played Ken on My Fin Fricker, Johnny Washbrook, met him, got a picture made with him, got a picture made all of them. And Peter Brown that played Deputy Johnny McCain on Lawman.
I was watching him this morning.
Yeah, Peter
Lawman,
Brown.
7 o'clock or 8 o'clock every morning on Encore.
Yeah.
New Wave Cable, folks.
Yes, sir.
5:15. Lawman's on. I watch Maverick at 7 and then start Lawman, and then I come to work.
And then when Laredo came out in the middle 60s, he was one of the Texas Rangers on Laredo TV show. And
About Peter Brown still?
Peter Brown, huh? And then Peter Brown also, I got him when I saw him 2 years ago. I said, I remember you on Days of the Live. He said, you want Days of the Live? And I said, well,
He did a bunch of those.
my ex-wife, if I was home, she made me record him so she could see him when she got
Right.
You know how women are about their soap
He
operas.
did 15 or 20 years of soap operas. He made a nice career out of that.
But I always think of him as Deputy Johnny McCain. You know.
And it sounds like I really know, but I don't, because as late as last night I looked him up. Because I was actually looking up John Russell, who played Marshall Troop. John Russell, right?
Marshall Dan Troop.
Dan Troop, and because I thought he was so unique and so stern, and I wanted to learn a little more about him, and I ended up on Peter Brown's webpage.
Oh yeah, he does. He has a big.
He has a real good webpage.
And the thing of it is, John Russell, every time he's played a movie, he's a bad guy. But he's deputy. But he's Marshall. In fact, he's in that Rio Bravo 1959 John Wayne movie. You know.
Okay. Well, you know, one of the interesting things I read about that last night was that they didn't want him to be like a television sheriff because he was too big. He was 6'4", and they thought, well, he's just too tall or something. I mean, he's an intimidating figure.
Well, look at James Arnett, how big he was. I think he's 6'4", 6'5".
Oh yeah, he's
6'7",
big man.
big guy, and we just lost him this year.
Just recently, yeah. Well, Texas, Jim.
Keep on losing our Cowboys like this, we don't want you back.
Only his friends get to call him Texas. But Jim, we appreciate you doing what you do, and we're going to bring you back some more and let you do some singing and some other stuff.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And by the way, folks out there, if you ever want, I know you've expressed interest in this. If you ever want somebody to come and talk about all this stuff, you're available, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I can be had.
Okay, so just
I can't
drop
be-
me an email here at the station, and we'll get you lined up with the man, the legend, the one and only.
You can get me on email.
Okay.
Email is texasjimknight@webtv.net.
There you go. And if you don't remember that, contact me. We'll be back right after this.